Welcome in to News and Views with Tom Lamprecht. The stories you've heard and the ones you need to hear.
This historic investment infrastructure.
We have finally reached the finish line. We need to do much more.
Senate Democrats want to take their next big step toward playing Russian roulette with our country.
Young children should be going back to school without masks.
Using children as pawns?
The decision for the parent.
The best way I can help now is if I step aside.
Your life, your values, your voice. This is News and Views with Tom Lamprecht on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right, welcome in. It is News and Views for a Wednesday. The best thing he can do is step aside.
Yeah, like a year and a half ago.
You know, what's interesting about this, there are a lot of people now asking, okay, why 2 weeks? What do you have to do that you've got to wait 2 weeks?
Cover up.
Well, that's what a lot of people are asking. Cuomo announced yesterday he was going to resign as of 14 days from yesterday. One individual, I said I was a little taken back that he said his resignation is effective in 14 days. It may be overly cynical, but I believe that Andrew Cuomo was a person of mischief. That was from the Southern District, New York, U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara. He said that he trusts that Cuomo will leave office, but said 2 weeks is a long time, and that the new governor, Kathy Hochul, has been getting ready to take over for a long time. They knew this was coming. Now, according to a Cuomo advisor, he said the governor is staying on to help with the transition as Hochul is going to be taking over the governorship during a very difficult time. Well, it's a difficult time, Gov, because you were there. If you'd leave, it'd probably be a whole lot less difficult.
These are going to be interesting next few weeks, months. And if anyone's out there would like to sponsor the Cuomo Family Crime Report, Daily Crime Report on this show, I'm sure advertising would be happy to look for sponsors, but I think it's going to be a daily thing.
Would you hear the Tappan Zee Bridge? They redid it and renamed it for his dad, Mario Cuomo.
Mm-mm.
And but now they want to undo that.
What's Mario got to do with it?
Well, I guess it's the family name.
It is.
The sins of the son have been visited upon the father. So yesterday we spent a good deal of time talking to Corey Scott, the manager of the Greenville Little League's Tar Heel 12-year-old All-Star team. Really got a lot of feedback on that interview. Thank you for the comments. And one of our listeners sent me a story that I was not aware of. I actually sent this to Corey. He said he just heard about it. But, and again, just to back up, to make if you haven't heard, although if you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard, the Greenville All-Stars were down in Warner Robins, Georgia, in the district. I guess those are the regionals. I guess the districts are here and the regionals are down there. Mm-hmm. And they won their first game against West Virginia. They're getting ready to play the second game. I think it was against Florida. One of the players, they said, tested positive, a spit test. You spit into a tube, and they send it off and come back and say, oh, yeah, he was positive. You're out of here. And literally, as if you heard and by the way, the interview's up on our News and Views website, ENC News and Views. But the whole thing was just rather odd that they gave them no warning. They said, get out of the hotel right now. Can we get a second test? Nope. Can we get it? And as Corey said, the young man, and we don't know his name, we don't want to know his name, but he feels fine. He's doing great. He and his family are on vacation. He's tested 3 other times, and every test came back negative. But they said, nope, sorry, you're out of here. You're gone. Kids' hopes and dreams of a lifetime dissipated with a poor decision, in my estimation, by the Little League International. Now, I say all that to say KHON News from Honolulu is reporting the Honolulu Little League team is currently 2-0 in the 2021 West Regional, which I assume is taking place out in California somewhere. The Honolulu Little League team will be without 2 players in its pursuit of the Little League West Regional title. A player on the Honolulu Little League team has tested positive for COVID-19, while another player on the team was unvaccinated. They played who tested positive. this must be a misprint. Anyway, who tested positive along with the player, this is what it's supposed to say, who tested positive along with the unvaccinated player will not be able to return for the rest of the tournament, which runs through Saturday. Meanwhile, the team's vaccinated players will not have to miss any time. All the latest reports from the Hawaii's sports station, Honolulu Little League, is currently 2-0. Well, I already told you that. Anyway, so the question is, why is the rest of the team vaccinated? I mean, these are 12-year-old kids. The whole team is vaccinated?
Must be. I mean, it's only been recently that the government experts, and I use that term loosely, but it's only been recently that they recommended someone at that age get vaccinated.
Yeah, I think it was under 16, or was it under 18 even?
Yeah, but then recently they backed it to lower than that. But I mean, that's been like really, really recent in the last week or so.
Anyway, I called to Little League International, and the operator said, "Oh yeah, let me talk to. I'll let you talk to Dave Hausmack. He's in his office." And I just told her, I said, I'm with WTIB. I've got a question about your protocols on kids that have COVID. That's all I said. I didn't ask any more specific than that. And guess what? He didn't pick up his phone. I got his answer machine. Here's a shocker, isn't there?
I thought you were going to say he hung up on you.
No. He wouldn't even take my call. But I mean, this is really curious. So Honolulu gets to stay, but Greenville gets the boot.
So I wonder if they're going to say, if you're vaccinated, you get to stay. You know, they kind of did that in the NCAA.
Well, here's the other thing, though.
With NC State.
By the way, hey, Clark, see if you can get that video that you sent out earlier, that Dr. Dan Stocks and his presentation. That was the one that you sent to Benny and I earlier today.
Okay.
Dr. Dan Stocks, who was highly qualified, go on ENC News and Views and you can watch the video. He was addressing the Mount Vernon school system. I think it was up in New Hampshire. And this guy's an expert, but he made a great point. He said, look, your whole premise is wrong, that if you get a vaccination, that somehow you will not spread the disease. And he actually told a story about years ago in the National Hockey League, some players who weren't vaccinated with the measles, came down with the measles, and they ended up, I guess, tracing where did you get it from. They ended up getting it from NHL players who had been vaccinated. And his point was, just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean that you can't have the virus in you. You're not going to be suffering from the symptoms, but you can have the virus in you, and you can actually spread it to other people. So this whole idea that I'm vaccinated, therefore I can't be a carrier, is a crock.
Yeah. You know, the inconsistency from public health and what is, quote, science and what is not science is so contradictory. It's just, it's amazing.
It's you're supposed to laugh, I guess, but, you know, these morons have so much power, you got to cry instead. But
it won't stop here either, I assure you that.
Oh, no. You know, as I've said before, I think this is a testing ground for the next time to see how much can we get away with. But anyway, you know, that's a question that needs to be asked, and I'll try to pursue it. Maybe this Dave Hausmack will give me a call back. But why does Honolulu get to stay, and Greenville had to go? And there was no mention in any of the news reports that I've talked to that the kids being vaccinated was the qualification, but maybe that's the difference. Maybe the fact that the rest of the team had received their vaccination. I don't know.
I think that was the excuse the NCAA gave when they, you know, pushed State out and made them forfeit against Vanderbilt and that type of thing. But
again, it's a crock. I mean, according to this doctor, Dan Stocks, it's a crock. So anyway, we'll continue to follow that and follow the situation with the lawsuit that's taking place. I guess that's headed up by the one manager from Texas who happens to be was he from Texas?
Texas or Oklahoma?
Yeah, Oklahoma. He's from Oklahoma.
Wasn't it
That's right.
Norman?
Tulsa. Yeah, Tulsa.
Tulsa.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. By the way, I was in contact. I made contact with the producer for Tucker Carlson.
Oh.
So I haven't heard back from him yet. I've attempted to reach out and touch him. We'll see if anything happens there.
He's a busy guy.
I'm sure.
Of course, I'm sure the research team's always looking for for news.
Well, it's even more interesting that now that Honolulu gets to stay, and we got the boot along with 6 other teams. Maybe there's more today. Who knows? First in Freedom Daily, just in case you were wondering, or in case you have to go visit the People's Republic of Chapel Hill, Orange County has followed the woke wake of Durham, reinstituting indoor masks as of 16 minutes ago, 5 o'clock today.
And Guilford County announced today.
Oh, is that right?
I don't know when it'll start, but I saw Guilford County announce
So if
today.
you're going up to Orange County and you go indoors anywhere, you got to take a mask. Just saying. The North State Journal is reporting that the U.S. Census Bureau will release their first local level results from the 2020 census tomorrow. States will use these pieces of data to figure out how they're going to gerrymander. Now, you can't gerrymander if you're controlled by Republicans, but for those states that are controlled by Democrats, they can gerrymander.
You know, gerrymandering was okay as long as the Democrats did it
Oh,
for
yeah.
the last 100 years.
Oh, yeah.
But then when Republicans, were at the controls, now it's gerrymandering.
Yep. Now it's by a bunch of racists.
Who is Jerry anyway? Always wondered.
I think gerrymander was actually like a takeoff of a salamander. It was just this odd-looking creature. They actually drew the perimeter of one of these districts, and somebody named it a gerrymander.
I actually thought it was someone from Durham County.
Gerrymander. Do you have that cut ready, Derek? That cut one? Yeah, all right. WUSA, Washington, D.C. TV station. They reported and put this video up, and I think the video has been viewed now on social media probably some 20,000 times. Laura Morris, who is a Loudoun County, Virginia teacher, was speaking before the school board there. Now, again, all the crazies up there outside of D.C. and Loudoun County, this is where all the CRT stuff has been going on. There's a lot of transgender junk going on. She got up and addressed the school board of Loudoun County last night. And among other things, she gets rather upset in this audio, but she makes it very clear that she's not going to put up with their nonsense anymore.
My name is Laura Morris. I have been a teacher in Loudoun County Public Schools for 5 years and a teacher for 10. In that time, I have learned so much, being on the cutting edge of educational technology and working with a diverse population of students that I have loved. This year, I have the privilege to follow my amazing 4th graders up to 5th, and I have been excited about this all summer. On the other hand, this summer I have struggled with the idea of returning to school, knowing that I'll be working yet again with a school division that, despite its shiny tech and flashy salary, promotes political ideologies that do not square with who I am as a believer in Christ. After reading about your lack of consideration for the growing population of concerned citizens in this division, clearly evidenced by this empty room tonight, where you shut the doors to the public, as well as the emails sent by the superintendent last year reminding me that a dissenting opinion is not allowed, even to be spoken in my personal life, going so far as to send a form to my colleagues and I encouraging us to fill it out if we hear one another speaking against the controversial policies being promoted by this school board and adopted in this county. Not only that, but within the last year, I was told in one of my so-called equity trainings that white, Christian, able-bodied females currently have the power in our schools, and that, quote, "This has to change." Clearly, you've made your point. You no longer value me or many other teachers you've employed in this county. So since my contract outlines the power that you have over my employment in Loudoun County Public Schools, I thought it necessary to resign in front of you. School board, I quit. I quit your policies, I quit your trainings, and I quit being a cog in a machine that tells me to push highly politicized agendas on our most vulnerable constituents, the children. I will find employment elsewhere. I encourage all parents and staff in this county to flood the private schools.
That was Laura Morris as she resigned last night from the Loudoun County school system in front of the school board. You know, she is, I don't know her personally, but she sounds like a caring, conscientious individual who would be a great find for any school system. I don't think she'll have any trouble finding another job at a private school, or she can move to another public school area perhaps.
And she's been, a teacher for 10 years, she said, so 5 in that school system. So here you go with someone that may leave education in general over this.
She wasn't the only person that spoke, but I mean, it's disturbing how liberals, again, they always want to brag about how transparent they are, and yet they close the doors to the public at the school board meeting. Now, again, is this because they were trying to hide something? I'm sure they didn't. I'm sure that wasn't what they advertised, that we're shutting the doors because we're trying to hide what we're doing. I'm sure they used COVID as the reason why you can't come to this meeting.
And they might use the excuse, I believe it was Loudoun County, Virginia School Board that had parents really kind of go after individually the school board members. And, And, I mean, they were just going after things that they said in public, so it's not like, hey, if you're going to say it, hey, own it. But they probably use that as an excuse, too, so they wouldn't have to deal directly with the people who vote for them. Loudoun County is just west,
right outside of D.C.
Just west of D.C., like west of D.C.?
Southwest, I think.
Yeah.
The other parents who chimed in, one said, I'm a Christian mom. I believe that what God said, how he created male and female, we respect just everyone as we should respect everybody. But I'm also here to talk about HB, because now that boys and girls are allowed to mix in bathrooms, my daughter might not be safe in any of those bathrooms. Gee, you think? There was a story out the other day talking about how, now these transgender males, biological males who say they're females, in the prison system in California are, and there's several hundred males, and there's hundreds more that have applied for this, where they say, oh, yes, I'm a female, I want to go over to the female prison. And, idiot Newsom has said, yeah, it's a good idea, let's do that. So now in the prison systems there, nothing's going to happen because these are, essentially, they're females. So you have females with females, essentially, right? But just one has an Uncle Albert and the other one doesn't. But at the same time, what they're doing, while they're saying nothing's going to happen, they're also handing out condoms to everybody. Now, why would you do that if they're all females? Well, good for balloons or something? I mean,
I hate the thought of even being in prison, but I'd have to say I'd probably have to do that myself, because I think I'd fare better over on the female side than the male side. I'd take my chances anyway.
But, I mean, you talk about, and these are the same people that, talk about inhumane treatment of people, and yet you're putting in some cases, rapists and murderers.
Oh, yeah.
In with the female population. And I mean, you're putting them in the same cell.
Yeah. And then the state will be paying for a gender reassignment surgery before you know it.
Well, in California, they probably are. And you'll be paying for it because you're going to be bailing out California. In addition to what's going on in Loudoun County, a mother in Atlanta filed a federal discrimination complaint against an elementary school alleging the school segregated students based on race. This is bizarre. We've lost sleep trying to figure out why a person would do this, said Kayla Posey, who was black. She told that to WSB-TV. First, it was just disbelief that I was having this conversation with this person that looks just like me. They're black. It's segregating classrooms. You cannot segregate classrooms. You can't do it. My community, had they known about this, would probably be extremely upset, not just the black parents, but also the white parents. Posey said the practice was put into place at Mary Lynn Elementary School by the principal, Sharon Briscoe, who was also black. Posey explained that black students were put in 2 classes with 2 different teachers, while white students were put in 6 classes with 6 different teachers. She found out about the segregation when she asked Briscoe to place her child with a teacher who she thought would be a better fit. She said, "That's not one of the black classes." And I immediately said, "What do you mean?" I asked for more clarification. I was like, "Wait a minute, we have those in this school?" And she proceeded to say, "Yes, I've decided that I'm going to place all black students in 2 classes." The principal reportedly told another mother that her child would be isolated if they were put into a white class. I explained to her she shouldn't be isolated or punished because I'm unwilling to go along with your illegal, unethical practice. And by the way, this is illegal. I mean, Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 strictly prohibits this. Now, a reason was never given that we know of, but the Atlanta public school system, they came out and they said, well, we don't condone this and we're taking care of it. Have you ever noticed that they'll, we'll take care of it. Just you go away, we'll take care of it. We're in charge. We know what we're doing. Then why did you hire this woman to begin with? And listen, I say that there wasn't a full explanation. The principal said, well, we think this is better for the kids, basically all the explanation that was given. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry to sound skeptical, but something nefarious, a.k.a. CRT, seems to be going on here. Speculation on my part, but
it's something. But you know, if you're a school board member of a private school across the country, you better be planning on long-term strategic planning of increasing your school.
Yeah,
because
big time.
This craziness, people are just going to absolutely leave public schools that can afford it.
Well, the other issue, too, is, and by the way, related to that, and I'll talk about a little bit more detail, but related to COVID and masks, down in Florida, they have said parents will help you with tuition to a private school if you are forced into a situation that you don't want to deal with in the public school system. Now, that's Ron DeSantis. That's in Florida, but there'll be a lot of people maybe thinking, well, I thought about going to Florida anyway. This might be a good time to do it. Stay with us. More news and views coming up.
And we're on location at one of my favorite places in the whole planet because this is some of the best food you're ever going to eat in your life. We are at Nino's on Red Banks Road in Greenville. It's one of my hangouts. It's one of the places that I love. I got my friend Pietro Passalacqua. How'd I do?
You did great.
Let's talk about the food. What makes this place? I know it's special Italian from authentic Italians, but tell us why it's so special.
Because everything we do, it's really what we came up on the menu from what we did at home, from my grandparents, my parents. So it's exactly what we eat at home, and that's the way we cook. That's why it's special.
And the atmosphere in this place is special also. From the bar to the 2 dining areas. You got 2 different dining areas, and now the weather's nice, so there's going to be a lot of folks that want to eat outside.
We have 2 rooms. One room is designed a little different. We're also working on the patio to make it more attractive and more useful in the summer with a cocktail service. And we're always improving our services.
And, of course, my friends here, my buddy, Chef Massimo, who I love, and Sal and Pietro, you guys do a great job here. Not just Italian, but I had a great pork chop here the other night. You got great steaks, too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're also adding filet mignon in the future on our menu. And Massimo is coming out with a really good side dishes for it. And so we're really excited to come out with new meats and fish dishes.
All right, Nino's on Red Banks Road in Greenville. Same people that give you Marabella's and the great pizza that you get at Marabella's, but this is fine dining at Nino's. If you haven't been here, you don't know what you're missing. Come see them at Nino's on Red Banks Road. And Pietro, what is that famous saying about Nino's?
The food that you enjoy with people that you love.
governor on down to the city council. We've got your updates on all things COVID and more.
For the latest on the outbreak
on Talk 96.3 and 103.7. Now, back to news and views.
Take a look at your weather forecast. Tonight, partly cloudy, a low around 75. Tomorrow, another hot one. Heat index as high as 105 with lots of sunshine. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, low 75. Friday, not quite as hot. There is a slight chance of an afternoon thunderstorm passing through. Friday night, partly cloudy, low in 75. And Saturday, a better chance of thunderstorms both Saturday and Saturday night. But otherwise, hot and sunny.
I'm ready for fall.
You know, I hate to see the days shorten, and I like summer, but I have to admit I love the weather of fall. The only thing I don't like about it is winter follows fall.
Yeah.
The Carolina Journal is reporting, you all remember the immoral Money Monday protest starring the Mardi Gras float with feet, Wee Willie Barber. Remember... In fact, I think that was actually started back when Tom Tillis was still the Speaker of the House.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was when the Republicans first took control of the General Assembly, I believe.
Because he was blocking Tillis's office. Mm-hmm. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it Tillis?
All by himself. In fact, he stretched out across Saunders Street. Sorry.
Well, I remember talking to Sadie at the time saying, look, just set up a buffet outside and you can get them out of the office. But I think Tillis actually, didn't he go out and buy them all pizza one time? And thought maybe there would be a little, of course, nobody else got any, but...
20 for Willie, 1 for everybody else.
Anyway. He was arrested for, among other offices, blocking Tillis's office and blocking the hallways, and couldn't get anything done, and he would start chanting and singing and hollering and really trying to present mayhem. And so he was charged, he was arrested, and now his they're trying now, they're now before judges, and his attorney is saying that he's saying you ought to let him off on a legal technicality that he didn't trespass and his First Amendment rights were violated in this trespassing charge. His attorney, Scott Holmes, also contended that a technical violation should have prevented the case from reaching the Superior Court in the first place. However, State Deputy Attorney General Matthew Tolchin countered that Barber had been charged and convicted because of illegal conduct, not because of speech linked to his First Amendment rights. The state also downplayed Holmes' technical argument. This case is not about the First Amendment. It's about basically getting in the way, trespassing, and causing mayhem. And yes, he would be a large body to get around.
Do you remember the... I think it was the late 80s, early 90s Eddie Murphy movie, Coming to America?
Yes.
There was a character in there that Eddie Murphy was playing a preacher at the little fundraiser night or whatever. He reminds me of a fat version of that character. Clark, if you can get that up.
I remember the movie Coming to America. I don't remember the preacher. But
he was one of Eddie Murphy's
many characters.
Many characters in that movie.
By the way, Jason Whitlock has got a great piece out. And Clark, here's another one you can put up on our Facebook page. The Jason Whitlock piece that Benny sent over earlier today. It's the pieces about, you've probably heard bits and pieces of it. But there was the Miami team was in Colorado playing the Colorado Rockies. And the name of the mascot in Colorado is Dinger. Mm. And there was a grandpa there with his kids, and he was calling out for Dinger to come over to get a picture with his grandkids. Which, I mean, that's kids think that's why they have the mascots, right? So because they want to have something for the kids. So anyway, the grandpa was saying, Dinger, Dinger. And somebody thought that he was shouting the N-word. And in fact, the Colorado Rockies administration first came out and they were going to escort this guy out. Maybe they did. And they went back and realized, oops, we really blew it. He wasn't saying the N-word. He was calling for the mascot.
I've seen the video with the audio. He was clearly, was not even looking at the direction of the player, looking at the mascot, and you could clearly hear him saying dinker.
Well, the player that was coming up to bat at the time was a guy named Lewis Brinson. He plays for the Florida Marlins. And
never heard of him till today.
Well, that's the point of Jason Whitlock's story here. And at the time when he was coming up to the plate, he didn't even hear this grandpa calling out for the mascot. He didn't even hear it. It wasn't until it made the news, and he said he went back and watched the video and listened to the audio some 50 times, and said, "Oh yeah, he was clearly saying the N-word."
What an idiot.
Well, Jason Whitlock had just come out and said, come off it. I mean, first of all, he said what you just said. It wasn't even close. But then Jason Whitlock makes a great point. Would you have heard about Colin Kaepernick if it wasn't for the fact that he took a knee and made all the stuff? I mean, he would have just, if you're in San Francisco and you followed the 49ers, you probably remembered the name. You might have remembered the name. But otherwise, the only reason you think about him or hear about him is because of his protest. He also talked about Bubba Wallace. Remember him? He was a NASCAR racer. And I think Bubba Wallace was actually, as I remember that story, I don't think he ever accused anyone, but somebody said because Bubba Wallace is a black NASCAR, in fact, I think he's the only black NASCAR racer, driver, and there was a rope hanging off the garage that they used to pull the garage door down, and it was just a rope hanging there.
Yeah, it was a rope. If you say it was a noose, you're an idiot. It was a rope.
But somebody tried to make a deal about it that this is a racial issue because he's a black NASCAR driver, and this is a threat that we're going to go take you out and hang you. He also talked about Jussie Smollett.
Juicy Smollett, yeah.
And bottom line of this is, look, these people that aren't really star value, that you hardly ever hear about. And by the way, just to make it real clear, if you're not familiar with Jason Whitlock, this guy I love his writing. He's a conservative black man who writes a sports column. And he often gets into this kind of, sometimes it's just pure sports, but he looks at it with a critical eye. And, he's just saying, this is fool's gold if you think that you're going to take this and turn this into riches. But this is, what he's saying.
Some have,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you look at Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah. Well, we talked about last week about Colin Kaepernick. I think it was in relation to the hammer throw story, the chick with the weird lips, and anyway, it's these players or athletes that are either washed up or no one has ever heard of. They're using race. They're going to be jump into
for the
a
30
race
seconds of fame
because it proves Colin Kaepernick proved it. He hustled race and Nike signed him to a big fat contract for it. So. It pays.
Well, they're overplaying their hand, and there's only so many. How many race hustlers are you going to endorse and give $1 million contract to?
I like what Jason Whitlock said. He said something to the tune of the dumbest people in America can never get rich doing this. Just look at Ben Crump, Exhibit A.
Yes.
The attorney for, as he calls him, Sir George Floyd.
Yeah, he's the guy that's running all over the country. In fact, he came up to Elizabeth City trying to cash in on that deal. Hey, we're going to take another timeout. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Break the chain. Eat local. Tiebreakers. Break the chain. Eat local. Tiebreakers.
Hey, this is Hank Hinton back here at Full Service Flooring in Winterville. I'm here today with Corey Little, who's the operations manager here at Full Service Flooring. Corey's been here 6 months, but you've been in construction a long time. Tell us about what you do here at Full Service Flooring.
Yeah, I got over here about 6 months ago. I've been in construction for, like I said, a little over 20 years, and I've known Tim for a long time now, and he's brought me over here to see what new kind of things I can bring to the store and to our customers. And I'm in charge of scheduling, and I don't know what else. I'm in charge of everything. It seems like we work together as a team and try to pull it all together. I might do a measure one day and do a commercial floor the next day, but we just kind of all work together and pull it all together at one time.
So what's new in flooring? What is the hot new thing?
The hot new thing is LVP or LVT, depending on what you're looking for, which look you're looking for. It's a waterproof product. It's absolutely fantastic. You can't really beat it.
A lot cheaper than hardwoods?
It is definitely a cost-effective alternative to hardwoods, yes, sir.
So, Corey, how is business right now?
And business is good. Despite the pandemic, we're still seeing a lot of new customers in the store, and we get an opportunity to introduce our products in a lot of different situations right now.
Corey, you've got a lot of experience in the construction industry. How is that helping you here with people, helping people with flooring here at Full Service Flooring?
This is your Drive at 5 and ENC with Tom Lamprecht. Welcome back to News and Views on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
Welcome back in. At the beginning of the program, we were talking about the situation with the Greenville Little League, how they got the boot and had to come back to Greenville. And yet Honolulu, their Little League team, is still in the mix, even though both teams had an individual that tested positive for COVID-19. I mentioned when we were talking about that story, this Dr. Dan Stocks, who came before the Mount Vernon School Board just recently. In fact, by the way, I think this has been taken off a lot of the social media. You can find the full video of this on our ENC News and Views website. But I mentioned what he said, and our producer Clark Willis has managed to grab this and find it. But he's talking here about the fact that the idea that somebody is vaccinated that they can't spread the virus is a myth. This is Dr. Dan Stocks.
Therefore, there is no reason for treating any person vaccinated any differently than any person unvaccinated. You should also know that no vaccine, even the ones I support and would give to myself and my children, ever stops infection. In 2014, there was outbreak of mumps in the National Hockey League. The only people who came down the symptoms were the people who were unvaccinated or unknown vaccine status. Boy, that sounds like a great argument for vaccines. But a question that you should ask yourself, knowing that half of the people who came down with symptomatic disease had no contact with an unvaccinated or unknown vaccine status individual, where did they get the disease? And the answer was from the vaccinated individuals. No vaccine prevents you from getting infection. You get infected, you shed pathogen. This is especially true of viral respiratory pathogens. You just don't get symptomatic from it. So you cannot stop spread. You cannot make these numbers that you've planned on get better by doing any of the things you're doing, because that is the nature of viral respiratory pathogens. And you can't prevent it with a vaccine because they don't do the very thing you're wanting them to do. And you will be chasing this the remainder of your life until you recognize that the Center for Disease Control and the Indiana State Board of Health are giving you very bad scientific guidance. And instead, read the articles that are going to come in the email.
So the point that he is making, the point that I wanted to make here is the idea of getting the vaccine is good, because if you get the disease, you get the virus, your symptoms aren't going to be nearly as bad. Mm-hmm. But you'll still have the virus in your system, and you can still pass it on to somebody else.
Well, the CDC's website, I mean, I just looked at it. I mean, it says that you can, it doesn't prevent infection. I mean, it says that on the website.
It's minimizing the symptoms.
Yeah.
So you can survive it. But you're going to pass it on, and you're going to get it.
But here again, where you go, and I'd say politicians more than public health officials, but there are a lot of public health officials that are guilty, because some of them in Washington in particular have become politicians. That's why they're confusing the American people by, people have pretty good memories, and they remember when you say something so emphatically one day, and the next day you say something that's contradictory to that. Why are you going to trust them? You know,
why would you trust them anyway? Listen, I mean, this all, and we've been talking on the air and off the air. Sometimes I forget if the things we say on the air or anyway.
And I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm an anti-vaxxer at all. It's just that be honest with the American people.
Thank you.
I mean, July, President Biden, repeated himself. If you get vaccinated, you will not have to wear a mask. That was the stupidest thing to say at that time. But it didn't surprise me.
We've got to take another time out. When we get back, I want to talk a little bit about the Senate that passed this boondoggle of a $1.2 trillion quote infrastructure package. The way the Republicans handled it is they did manage to force Democrats to vote on a lot of individual amendments. And actually, some of these were good, and they passed some. Some of the responses from the Democrats were laughable, though. We'll have that when we get back.
Got a trade? Now's the time at Greenville Toyota. Never in history has your trade been worth more. Get paid today. Then get a new Toyota hot off the delivery truck. Hurry before they're gone. Like Camrys, $189 a month. Rush to Greenville Toyota.
In North Carolina, we get up before the sun rises and stay up into the wee hours of the night. We believe in working hard and playing harder. Behind every meal, there's a farmer, and behind every farmer, there's Got to Be NC, the official state identity program for North Carolina agricultural products. Look for the Got to Be NC logo wherever you shop or eat, and you'll know you're getting a quality product grown, raised, caught, or made in North Carolina.
We're on location at Fabric and Home Furnishings, and I'm back with my friend Lisa Pendry. And Lisa's been telling me about all the great renovations that have been going on here in the store, and I've been looking around, and it looks fantastic. Tell us what you've done here.
Well, we've knocked some walls down, we've painted, we've added some new vendors, lots of new exciting things going on. So we're making room for everybody to get what they need to transform their homes.
Looks fantastic in here. Last time we talked, you were saying that you were able to deliver a lot faster than most other furniture stores. Is that still the case?
It is. It's changed a little bit, but we're still looking at around 8 to 10 week delivery, and we do sell our floor samples right off the floor.
All right, we always say that Fabric and Home Furnishings is more than just a fabric store, so tell us what the more is all about. What when people come in, what should they expect?
Well, we love to get to know our customers. I have the best crew I've ever had, and everybody on my team is an interior designer. So we offer in-home design service, which we always have, but now they can each come out to your home after they work with you in here, figure out what's going on in your residence or your commercial property to pull it together and help you make everything beautiful.
You got great folks here.
I do.
I can tell you, I haven't gotten to know them. It's like a family when you come in here, and everybody gets along well, and you can tell that these guys and gals really know what they're talking about when it comes to interior design.
They do, and that's really what makes us different. We offer complete in-home design service. We don't charge a by-the-hour fee. It's a flat one-time fee. We work with you in here, in your home, in your business, and help pull everything together.
All right, it's more than just a fabric store. Fabric and Home Furnishings in Arlington Village. Come see this lady. She's fantastic. Fabric and Home Furnishings. Come see the renovations here.
From the governor on down to the city council, we've got your updates on all things COVID and more.
For the latest on the outbreak
on Talk 96.3 and 103.7. Now, back to news and views.
So the Senate passed phase one of the infrastructure bill, which is $1.2 trillion, and now the Democrats want to pass the $3.5 trillion. There's some question as to whether or not they will get that through the House and the Senate. So far, the Senate has voted pretty much in lockstep, and of course you had the 19 Republicans that decided they were going to go along with that. somebody was telling me earlier today the reason why that Tillis said that he was going to vote for the first part of it, the $1.2 trillion, is because they had a deal with Manchin and Sinema that if they passed that, they promised they wouldn't vote for the $3.5 trillion. So we'll see. Boy, I tell you, that might be making a deal with the devil. I'm not sure.
Well, regardless, I think West Virginia is going to have some nice roads and bridges in the future.
Oh yeah. Senate Republicans did, however, force Democrats to take some tough votes on issues ranging from critical race theory to abortion to fracking during the 14-hour vote-a-rama yesterday and today, as they put up resistance to the budget resolution that opens the door for the Democrats to pass the $3.5 trillion spending plan. So the 1.2 is done, but now they're working on the 3.5. So some of the individual things that they actually brought up, one of those victories was an amendment from Tom Cotton supporting banning federal funds from backing critical race theory in schools. Joe Manchin voted with the Republicans in favor of this. So this actually passed. That would they voted. But here's the thing. So you had 49 Democrats that think it's a good idea to teach critical race theory in schools. 49 U.S. senators think it's a good idea.
Yeah, we keep saying, Bernie Sanders keeps saying that things that were once considered radical is now mainstream.
Yeah.
He's right.
Senator Patty Murray. Now this is where it gets funny. Patty Murray came out and said the amendment was, quote, an attempt to force the federal government to interfere with local school districts' decisions. I saw that. I literally laughed out loud. This is the most liberal woman in the U.S. Senate. Well, maybe not the most liberal, but she's in the top 5. And she would love to federalize the entire school system. She would love the federal government to make every decision about everything in your local school system. And what does she say? Oh, we can't tell the local school system they can't teach CRT. Heaven forbid.
Yeah, she just wants to be the one telling them, along with the other Democrats, what it is.
Republicans forced Democrats to split on several other votes. 8 Democrats backed a proposal from Kevin Cramer from North Dakota that would block the Environmental Protection Agency from banning fracking. 4 Democrats voted for an amendment by John Boozman from Arkansas opposing any policies from the Department of Agriculture that would cut federal funding of fossil fuel plants. 4 Democrats, both Nevada senators and Senators Mark Kelly of Arizona and Maggie Hansen of New Hampshire, voted in favor of an amendment that supported more resources for deporting criminal aliens. Bill Hackerty introduced that amendment. All but 9 Democrats voted in favor of an amendment from Dan Sullivan of Alaska that would support building renewable energy technology with parts that are made only in America rather than China. All Democrats, meanwhile, voted against an amendment from Chuck Grassley opposing changes some Democrats were asking for to reinstate the state and local SALT deduction, which provides tax relief to wealthy families in blue states. In other words, that SALT deduction, you used to be able to deduct your local taxes, and that was eliminated because basically we were underwriting states like New York and California.
It's limited to $10,000.
Yeah, but I mean, before it was...
well, before it was unlimited unless you get into alternative minimum tax, but that's, getting down in the weeds on that, but yeah.
In the meantime, though, so that Grassley's didn't pass. But Ron Wyden, the liberal from Oregon, counterpunched, introducing an amendment in favor of a progressive tax code in which wealthy pay more than their proportional share. No Republicans voted for that. But weren't we told that pass this bill and you don't have to worry about any new taxes, right?
Well, I think the Republicans and Tom Tillis, I keep calling him Tom Collins.
No, it's slip of the tongue.
Maybe they once realized you cannot trust the Democrats. And I still don't think Manchin, they'll be able to trust Manchin on this thing. I just don't believe it.
Nearly all Democrats, meanwhile, oppose an amendment from Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma supporting a ban on abortion of Down syndrome children. So, by the way, Susan Collins voted against that ban. Manchin did join Republicans on that, but it did not pass. So you have basically all the Democrats and Susan Collins saying, yes, if a child has Down syndrome, kill it. I'm sorry, that's what they're saying. Hey, we got to run. We'll do it again tomorrow. Play a little political trivia. We'll see you then. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right, all right, all right.
In North Carolina, we get up before the sun rises, stay up into the wee hours of the night. We believe in working hard and playing harder. Behind every meal, there's a farmer, and behind every farmer, there's got to be NC, the official state identity program for North Carolina agricultural products. Look for the Got to Be NC logo wherever you shop or eat, and you'll know you're getting a quality product grown, raised, caught, or made in North Carolina.
We're on location at Fabric and Home Furnishings, and I'm back with my friend Lisa Pendry. And Lisa's been telling me about all the great renovations that have been going on here in the store, and I've been looking around, and it looks fantastic. Tell us what you've done here.
Well, we've knocked some walls down, we've painted, we've added some new vendors, lots of new exciting things going on. So we're making room for everybody to get what they need to transform their homes.
Looks fantastic in here. Last time we talked, you were saying that you were able to deliver a lot faster than most other furniture stores. Is that still the case?
It is. It's changed a little bit, but we're still looking at around 8 to 10 week delivery, and we do sell our floor samples right off the floor.
All right, we always say that Fabric and Home Furnishings is more than just a fabric store, so tell us what the more is all about. What when people come in, what should they expect?
Well, we love to get to know our customers. I have the best crew I've ever had, and everybody on my team is an interior designer. So we offer in-home design service, which we always have, but now they can each come out to your home after they work with you in here, figure out what's going on in your residence or your commercial property to pull it together and help you make everything beautiful.
You got great folks here.
I do.
I can tell you, I haven't gotten to know them. It's like a family when you come in here, and everybody gets along well, and you can tell that these guys and gals really know what they're talking about when it comes to interior design.
They do, and that's really what makes us different. We offer complete in-home design service. We don't charge a by-the-hour fee. It's a flat one-time fee. We work with you in here, in your home, in your business, and help pull everything together.
All right, it's more than just a fabric store. Fabric and Home Furnishings in Arlington Village. Come see this lady. She's fantastic. Fabric and Home Furnishings. Come see the renovations here in Arlington Village. And thank you for the visit today.
Thank you, Henry.
All right, you got to come see what they've done in the store here on Arlington Boulevard in Arlington Village.
Anything could happen ever since I met you.
Introducing Pepsi Mango.